Good. Goodish. Fine. Whatever. How are you?
Like a smart.
You sound very convincing.
You ever feel like your priorities are never. You ever question your priorities in life, and you always question it like monthly, or anytime someone dies, or any significant event that's either specific to you or someone you know, and it makes you reflect on like what you're really pursuing with the limited time that you have left.
Yeah. Yeah, all the time. Not joking. Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
yeah. I don't know. Actually, yesterday I woke up and I had a weird dream, and I just woke up with just like massive amounts of just regret about everything for pretty much no reason. Just like I should have done everything differently or whatever. I don't know if that's the same as reprioritizing, but it's just weird.
you think hippies die with regret?
I mean, I'm sure that they sit on their dying bed going, "God damn it, I should have been a Wall Street banker." Fuck. No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what hippies regret. Maybe I don't know if they'll
Mm,
remember anything. Too much
I
pot.
don't. I don't. I mean, I don't really know any like hippies. I guess I don't live in California, but I would assume that like I don't know. If I don't know any hippies, in which I assume that majority of hippies are like Caucasian, maybe I could like explore Miami and find some Rastafarians. I feel like they're the same. I feel like it's the same mentality, right? I think Rastafari. I thought it was a culture, but apparently it's a religion as well. But
Yeah.
I want to interview someone of a hippie culture to figure out what I can
Um,
learn from them.
there's somebody on Twitter who I think claims to be kind of like a self-declared hippie, but they live in like a commune in what's his name? I think it's like
Jim Jones.
no, I think he goes like by like G-Paw or something like that. G-Paw Hill. And he claimed to be kind of a hippie.
Oh, I don't know who that is. Sorry. I met when I was working out in the yard. I met this white Rastafarian. He was educating me on the Rastafarian like culture. I found it
Isn't
interesting.
isn't Rastafarian basically the like no like related to voodoo, but it's not kind of a mischaracterization type thing. I can't remember.
I don't
Like
think so. I think you're confusing that with maybe Haitian, not Haitian the people, but maybe some what do you call that culture? You don't really call it Creole culture. I don't know what you call it. But no, I don't think so. So like what dude was telling me was Rastafarian is like a denomination of Christianity,
hmm,
which I never knew that there was any linkage of Rastafarians and Christianity. I just thought it was just a mentality of I don't want to say like smoking weed and getting high, but I just thought it was a mentality of like I don't know. I, yeah, I don't know.
yeah, it's a religion that developed in Jamaica during the 1930s. No central authority, blah blah blah. Yeah, it is a basically a mix of Protestant Christianity and some other things.
What's
Involves
interesting
smoking
about
a lot of cannabis.
yeah, What's interesting about like Jamaican history is whenever I like watch YouTube videos on like Jamaican politics from like probably the 50s all the way to current day.
Hmm.
Um, the the presidents are always severely light skinned, damn near white, and I just find that really interesting how they consistently elect people that don't look like the majority.
Hmm.
It's, it's, I don't think that mentality will ever die, even when we're all mulattoes based on just mixing amongst one each other. I think we're always going to base skin color on a perceived intelligence, right? Like I think in like China and other Asian countries, they will, as I understand it, prefer to hire blonde hair, blue eyed teachers over like Mexicans or black people, right? Because there's a perception that English speakers, the best education for learning English can come from someone that's of European descent.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
Well,
I
I
get
guess
tired of
English
talking
is a
about race.
European language. Now the I think I was totally off on it being related to voodoo, but there's
Yeah.
probably some like shared mysticism or something, but that's probably about it. I would assume. But huh, I guess it's big in Ethiopia too.
I try my best to avoid arguments for African Americans that are Jesus freaks. But I realize that having that debate with them for why they're Jesus freaks and do they understand how Christianity even reached them is going to be like futile, right? So
Yeah, I learned that early on, and it's not just obviously it's not just black Christians; it's all of them for the most part. The entirety of Christianity is based on the idea of irrationality. Like, and that's not a slight. That's actually like a fundamental thing because faith in the absence of like faith in its
absence of
deepest
evidence.
nature is the absence of evidence, and
Yeah,
that if you look at like what the whole thing with Abraham and you know was supposed to kill his son.
Isaac or whatever.
Yeah, and he puts his entire faith, even though there's like no reason he should do any of this. There's he faces up against acts like believes in despite of all like rational evidence not to or something like that. So
Yeah, and if you do that today, then you'll probably get a death sentence afterwards, right?
yeah,
Like because it's
yeah,
called being mentally ill. Why did you do
yeah,
that? God told me.
yeah. Well, of course he gets saved at the last minute, you know, in the story because faith is real or whatever. But um, but that's the thing is that the entire doctrine is based on the idea that you should have a rational belief in things, and that's it. And so you take that and extrapolate it out. There's no way you can really rationalize with someone about aspects. You can maybe convince them to be more tolerant of other like
Yeah, but the
Christians or other religions and try to change their interpretation of the Bible, but ultimately it's stuck where it is.
yeah,
So,
but the point that I was trying to drive was that in regards to African Americans and 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 Hispanics or Latin people, like you'll see, especially within Latin culture, you'll see like crosses all over the place and probably the Mother Mary all over the place.
mhm,
Um, and black people in general tend to be Baptist, right? But if you really want to challenge their faith, right, and maybe
mhm,
not challenge their faith, you have to bring up, well, how is it? What series of events chronologically led up to you being a Jesus freak, right? And they ignore, guns in the Bible. They ignore conquest. They ignore slavery. They ignore religion being a tool, or specifically a white Jesus being a tool to aid in kidnapping and placing someone on a platform to be sold, and then separating them from their kin or their families, and putting them on a plantation, right? And I think Christianity, at least when I'm speaking in terms of Africans or African Americans, I think it played a huge influence in why people claim to be a Christian, specifically African Americans. But they don't, I don't think, acknowledge why they're Christian, what influenced their family that they were born in to say we are a Christian family, right? And they were brought up in the church from a very young age. And I would use the same argument for the conquest of South America, guns in the Bible, right? And like people don't, in general, and this is why I lose respect for humanity. People believe so hard in the present and the future without performing deep analysis on the past and the history of it. And that's a part that I just have a really hard time respecting people that
Yeah.
are devout, because they I feel as if they don't perform their due diligence to really understand why they believe what they believe, and what were the series of events that influenced them to be in that position for that religion to even be entertained by them or their ancestors. I'm done.
Yeah. Don't forget the conquest of Europe too.
No, I don't
Christianity
know.
didn't
I don't know about
exactly
that history.
the Romans conquesting all of Europe.
No, I mean, I don't know the
Yeah.
Christianity part. I've heard of the
The Holy Roman Empire.
no, 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 no. What do you call it? What do you call it? The Muslims and Christians a long, long time ago. What was that thing called? The Come on, dude. Do you see images with the shields with the red thick cross on it? What
Yeah.
what was that called?
Templars or the
No, no,
medieval
no, no, no.
times. Crusades.
The Crusades. Thank you. I could not think of it for the life of me. Was the Crusades related to Roman times, or is that completely different?
I think that wasn't the Crusades Roman, like the Holy Roman Empire,
I have no clue.
because the Holy Roman Empire was later, and I think that was a broad Christian movement. But I think the Romans, if I remember correctly, I can't remember. There was one Roman emperor who turned Christian, which made the entire Roman Empire Christian. But I don't know. But I mean, the Celts, for instance, like when you think about pagan, and actually modern Christianity is a mix of paganism. Like, why is Christmas on Christmas? It doesn't make sense. Like, logically, Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. Like, it's because it's related to the pagan winter solstice festival. And they're trying to make it really easy on Christians to get on board, or people to get on board with Christianity. So a lot of pagan things kind of got mixed in. Um,
There's a similar argument for that Black Rock in Mecca that people make
mhm.
pilgrimages to. There's an argument that historically there is no evidence that for that rock and for its for lack of a better term, for why it's special, because historically there's no reference to that area,
Mhm.
but it's a tradition that people go there, and that tends to have more influence than actual like historical evidence or facts. And that's the thing, like people care more about their feelings than they care about data
Yeah, but
or
the
evidence.
I think the other question is so you're putting the data and and this analysis
I'm
as
putting
of
evidence, but yeah.
yeah, as of high importance. Like, to most people, it's just not important to them. Um,
But yet their whole life is based on it. So to me it's like a paradox.
yeah,
Like,
well, maybe. I mean, does it have to be though? If they're generally happy and otherwise contributing to society and not. bad people.
I don't think that the majority of Christians are happy. I don't think that the majority of Muslims are happy.
Well,
I don't
that's
think the
just the
majority
majority
of
of the
people are
world.
happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't think it has anything to do with religion. In fact, you could say that religion might be a consequence of or a reason why people are sorry, religion might be a reason, or might it
No,
be
you had it right the
cause?
first time.
Damn it,
Consequence. You had it right the first time.
consequence. Yeah, yeah,
Consequence.
of people's suffering and stuff like that. And that was because that was Nietzsche's kind of big thing, right? Was um, and Marx called religion the opiate of the people. Um, yeah, it was Marx I'm thinking of. Marx's thing was that religion is the opiate of the people, and that it's basically trying to make things tolerable long enough to just contribute to society or whatever. Um,
Yeah, but like hyenas and gazelles and water buffalo, they have a pretty hard life in the Serengeti. Like hold on, Serengeti is a desert in the savannah, right? They don't have religion
how do you know?
because I don't see them.
Why are they always
I don't see them
congregating?
praying.
Mhm. How do you know when they're not just chowing down on their food? They're just going singing off some Hail Marys. Come on, you can't understand them.
Maybe because the ceremonies that they have are indecipherable from them grazing.
It's very species centric of you to think that other animals don't have religion. Man, no, I know.
Because
I
I mean,
just
you have to admit, like Mother Nature, that's a hard lifestyle, right?
yeah,
Like,
and we're in it too, though. Don't forget it. I mean, that's um.
mm,
There's
okay,
a there's yeah. There's actually a pretty good article by or a little thing by Freud. Who talks about kind of the religion and kind of how he believes it evolved. And the original gods were all based around natural phenomenon. So think lightning god,
lightning, yeah.
water, um, gods of the ocean, gods of war, all of these things. And that was because they wanted to believe that they had some sort of control over the environment or Mother Nature, right? They wanted to believe that they could influence it in a way, so they would pray to those gods for clear passage or for good weather or for rain for during a drought or whatever. And then they could rationalize the fact that they're living in a totally irrational world by saying, "Oh, well, I must have done something bad, or we must have done something bad if that angered the gods if they're not going to give us any rain. So it's obviously our fault." But what happened with the turn to Christianity in that is that we finally got a handle on our environment. We had enough in place where it was no longer this like um, the most concerning thing, and then it became a question more of uh, so we grow up believing that our parents can kind of control the world, right, and that we're safe in it, and that they'll protect us from it, and they're the ones protecting us from it, and all of this. And then when we find out that they're in the same place we are, we project that towards the sky, which is why like God and that is often associated with fatherhood or motherhood or some sort of a parental like relationship. Um,
My neighbor converted me to be a. Take two. My neighbor converted me to atheism.
I,
Like three
I don't
three
think
weeks 3 weeks
I don't
ago.
think atheism is a
Word.
no, atheism isn't a I don't I'll challenge you that atheism is not a intellectually honest position. Um,
Okay, let's
if
go.
so atheism is now it depends on how you define the terms. So a lot of people who are
You
atheists
don't
might
believe in
actually be
God.
agnostic. Okay, so there
Period.
you
There
go.
is no God. Period.
Yeah, so that those are two different statements. I don't believe in one, and I'm certifying that or stating that there is none.
The
There
latter
is
part.
none. Yeah. So that I think is an intellectually dishonest thing. There could be a God. There is no evidence that you can claim that proves that there isn't.
Okay, so if you say that there could be a God, then what is the definition of God in order to
Yeah.
make that statement?
Well, that's a good question. There's a lot of fundamental questioning you can do around this concept. There is actually, I mean, arguments for the existence of some, divine being that puts things into motion. But then you always have to go back and say, well, what put them into motion? But um,
Exactly.
yeah, so there's a metaphysical, like, there's this like, conceptually there's metaphysical, um, like, theories and ways that, this could play out, or things we just can't comprehend or understand. Doesn't mean there's not a God. And I'd say that agnostic is the only defensible
No,
position for
I
anybody
was
who's.
agnostic. Now I've been converted over to atheist. Like for me, there is no doubt in my mind that me seeing in color, my reproductive system that I haven't been using lately, unfortunately. The skeletal system, the muscular system, the taste buds, right? Um, the nervous system, the respiratory system. Like there is no doubt in my mind that it is absolutely impossible for those systems to be so complex and to just materialize from absolutely no guiding hand. Absolutely impossible. And to me, that makes sense. It should be impossible to have these systems that somehow over billions of years just fall into place to me perfectly. All right. And I realized that although my thought process, I believe, is absolutely correct. In fact, I think it's flawless, right? I think that if I use the same reasoning for why it's impossible for these types of specialized systems just to happen, um, meaning, or say that it must come from something, right? A guiding hand, in this case, God, right? Um, to your point, you have to ask the same question. Well, is it acceptable to say that complex systems require iteration and experience? It's not just snap your finger like what's his name, Thanos or whatever from
Yeah.
Infinity War. Like it's not just snap your fingers and things are just perfect. It's usually iteration, refinement, and if we're talking about evolution, which I think is a thing, it's not mutually exclusive. This takes millions of years, right? And so
Hmm.
you have to ask the same question: how is it
Yeah.
possible that a God can always exist, never learn, and automatically know everything? And
Listen,
that is that's unreasonable to think that. It is. We I know that we would like to think that God is a special case, God or gods, because it doesn't have to be singular, but it is completely illogical, unsustainable, and I would say ignorant to believe that a perfect being cannot learn from experience, has always existed infinitely, even before the universe, has no creator, has nothing before it, and makes no mistakes, has no ability to learn because everything it does is perfect. And that's no, I can't accept that, right? So if I can't, so basically, I went from believing there has to be a some type of designer to, well, okay, if that's the case, then where did it come from? Well, or where did the designer come from? And I'm like, I don't know. Well, if it's possible for the designer to have all these attributes, then in theory, it's possible for the universe to have these attributes as well.
hmm
So, translated to me, when I ask the question, what is the definition of God? I would say that God is everything that we know about the universe. and it's not a white Jesus. It's not this sky fairy. It's it's every atom within the observable universe and beyond. That's it.
Yeah. So I think that the thing that you get at fundamentally there, and I'm not saying that even God designed us. Um, I think you've got to kind of separate some of the ideas that God might be all knowing, or that God just snapped his fingers, and you got to kind of like separate yourself from like the perhaps Christian definitions of what God is or isn't, um, and then go down that route. But and God as being a singular too is could be completely incorrect. It could be pluralistic entirely. But I think you got down to the fundamental question there of, you know, did this all just come about by you know chance, or just the formation of atoms, and there is no higher thing, like, or is there something else that is a bigger power that got formulated by total chance, or exists on a different plane that we can't comprehend because he exists or she or it exists outside of our realm of understanding. Um, if you take away every prescriptive like definition of what God is and just get it down to the fact that there is some higher plane of existence in which a being exists that has some sort of interaction with our plane of existence. Like, I don't think you can't answer that question. You can sway either way, which agnosticism allows for. And strong agnosticism says you don't know and you can't know, which is a very strong position to have. And I think that, but that's I don't think asserting that definitely without a doubt there is no such thing as a higher being, um, is just completely just intellectually dishonest. I mean, because you don't actually know that. You can't prove it, but that doesn't mean you have to try to, you know, to
Was when you say higher being,
yeah.
do you mean a creator?
No, not even necessarily a creator. It could have
Okay,
been, yeah.
yes, I believe that there are aliens out there in this galaxy or the next galaxy, like Andromeda,
Mhm,
that they are a higher being than us humans. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
But
convinced of that.
I mean, I'm pretty like sim theory, like simulation theory is to me the most like reasonable way to like think about this. So here's the like the the thought process that I go through is like, so assume for a second that simulation, like we are in a simulation and that somebody created the simulation, right? To us, relative to us, that person or that thing or that being that created the simulation is a god, correct?
Yeah.
But in their world, are they a god? Or they're outside of the simulation, are they a god? Or are they just one of many people that are in the
Well,
exact same
they're an
situation as we
artist.
are? Yeah. So if you got created by something higher than you, but that higher thing didn't get created by something, is that higher thing not God then?
The higher thing would be a yeah, it would still be a god. There's levels to this.
Okay. Okay. So that's the thing. So
But maybe we should just replace God with creator.
okay, creator. So if you got created by someone and they didn't get created, is that would like how do you, so because I like technically that person to us is a god, right? Because they have absolute control over our
It's
world or being or our
it's
physical plane.
analogous to a parent and a grandparent, right?
No,
Okay.
I don't think it's the same. I think it's because once you get into the world, they don't have control over you anymore. Um, what do they
I'll,
say? You
okay.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say like there was actually oh gosh, I can't remember. It was like a movie, and they talked about how like we don't bring children into the world. We like they come through us or something like that. They like we're their portal. Um, it's not us actually like holding the reins. It's them kind of forcing their way into existence. I don't know, but like I said, I don't think that's the same thing entirely. Because I mean, it's totally possible too that we're just recycled, entities that got reincarnated in within another form. We just have no memory of our cache of our past life, but we're the same like processing, like metaphysical processing unit.
Of what?
We're in a sim, so we've got a special actor model sitting out there that does this. And once we die, our cache is cleared, and then we wait for respawn, and then we respawn, and we get a new cache, and we start to develop memories. And like there's a lot of ways you can formulate the existence of the universe and our being that are completely just thought experiments. It's pure philosophy. It's not science. Um,
Yeah,
but you
but what?
can't say that you. I don't think you can like honestly say that you can that there does not exist a something that it could be projected as being a god. I just
We
don't think
we
it's
agreed that
possible.
we weren't going to use the term God, and we said Creator.
Well, so yeah, but then is that the same thing as atheism then? Because here's another thought. So if you have a sim theory again, let's go back. If somebody creates a system that uses genetic algorithms, and through those genetic algorithms or whatever, it comes into being that we're created. So they don't intentionally create us, but we get created through the system that they create. Are they our creator then? Even though we came about by accident, even though they have control over our entire existence and plane? There's a lot of ways you can spin this. And the thing is, like I said, I don't think you can ever get to a position where you can explain it to anyone to say that there is definitely it's like and I'm not saying theism is correct either. I think that it's the same thing. They're the assertion of yes, there is. Atheism is the assertion of no, there isn't. And agnosticism is yeah, you guys might both be right. Uh, I don't know because I can't. There's it might be and it might be impossible for me to know. But again, it depends on how you wordsmith things. You could probably call yourself an atheist and still be in the and still have like believe that there's the possibility of a higher being or creator or some other thing out there that controls our plane.
Everything's relative.
Yeah.
Like for my myriads of sperm that crawl through the fallopian tubes to penetrate an egg, to that sperm, I'm a god, right? And then you have to ask the question: Does do all organisms have a mind? I would consider a sperm a complex organism, right? Um, they have a mission, right? They by instinct they zero no
No,
sperm
I don't think they have
they don't have,
they don't have a mission. They don't have purpose. They have they have a they've they have a cell that's been attached to a was a ganglion or whatever that spins really fast, and that just happened to be the best way for it to swim.
okay, but why do they seek and destroy or seek and fertilize an egg or they don't?
That's why you shoot off millions of them is because they're not
Mm,
very like good. Like you'd only need a few like us. Like, do you send in the whole Russian army or do you send in a small task force if you're
okay,
trying to kill one person? Uh,
sperm. So you're saying sperm don't swim?
they don't think, they don't have a mission. They are just their existence. is well suited to their purpose.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
yeah,
So what I think I'm understanding is they don't seek an egg. They just happen to collide with one
yeah.
and go dormant on it. Is
What,
that what you're suggesting?
what do you mean go dormant on it?
A sperm penetrates an egg.
Yeah, they don't think about it like I'm gonna get inside that egg now. They go up to it, and then they have their strength of their push is enough
Their
based
propeller.
on how yeah to get in there, and then because of the way it's all like physically structured, it falls off or whatever, and then it happens. I mean,
Well, wouldn't the path of least resistance? Because I thought a egg had some like circumference to it, right? Some curves to it. Wouldn't the path of least resistance would be it would like ricochet, like not ricochet off, but like hit it, it won't hit it straight on at like a 90-degree angle, right? Like what's the probability of it hitting it straight on? But it may hit like a curved corner of that egg, and then it'll just like slide off of it,
yeah.
right?
Well, it's got to first make its way all the way up them tubes, right, and get into the like. It's a long journey.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Yeah.
Is the egg really that big that a sperm once it collides with it, it doesn't like slide off of it?
Um, I don't know. I mean, it might be so small that it doesn't matter. Like there's thinking like a if you have a drop of water and it's connected to a can, it doesn't fall off. It just it attaches to it. But if you had a giant drop of water, like a giant like droplet of water, and you try to
Okay.
put it on a building, it wouldn't sit there and fall. So I'm assuming that there's some physical properties. Like somebody could probably explain to us the physics of how sperm
That makes sense.
get into an egg. But I don't think there's any sort of mission. They don't have any sort of belief or complex, and kids don't either. Once they're once they start going and evolve, they've got a certain base set of things with DNA, and then they learn. But you're
Uh,
nothing to
I,
them really.
I was always under the impression that kind of like at the beginning of the day or the beginning of a work day, the servers, the cooks, the dishwashers, they have a meeting before the restaurant opens about things to be aware
Hmm.
of and certain things that they need to make sure they tend to, and then the shop opens, and that's it. Same thing with like the police. Like the shift gets in, they have their briefing, and the day starts, and they go on patrol. I feel like it's the same thing with sperm, right? It's like foreplay with your girl, and the sperm gets together, and they say, "Hey, like it's going down. Hey, I wish you the best of luck. Not sure if we can get twins, but someone's going to get that egg." And then all of a sudden, there's like an earthquake, like, and then the sperm gets ready, and then like they ejaculate out, and then they start swimming through the fallopian tubes, and they find that egg and they penetrate it. I feel like it's the same thing, which makes me think that they have consciousness because they have a briefing before they get ejaculated out to the fallopian tubes to secure that egg.
That'd be a pretty good that'd be a pretty good like short animated comedy
They're like,
film.
"Hey guys, it's happening!"
They put on their helmets, grease their tails. All right, do one of these. Or I think about like the scene from I don't know if you've watched Lord of the Rings, but the scene from the Return of the King where King Aragorn just turns and goes kind of like YOLO and he runs off to fight the orcs or whatever.
Oh no,
But
I haven't seen
yeah,
that.
oh man, yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's a far cry from where we were, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I just I don't think atheism is a correct position unless you define it as agnosticism. If you like loosely define atheism, I can see it. Like I just don't believe there's one. Well, that's okay. Belief versus claiming knowledge of, and then saying that other people don't have the right to believe because you have knowledge of something is the exact thing that theists do, and it's not a it's not a great position to be in. But if you're willing to say, okay, it's I don't have knowledge, I don't believe there is, I don't think there is, the likelihood, just all the
There's
evidence, probably
but
not,
there's just
but okay, there
I
could
don't
be.
think there's any value.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's any value. Like, okay, there's a creator.
Yep. Yep.
The creator doesn't talk. It says in the Bible he used to talk, but ever since he provided his son as a sacrifice, then yeah, he kind of went mute. He doesn't talk to us anymore.
Yeah. And
Okay, well, people pray, but the way God communicates is He makes sure that your cell phone's turned off, so that when He does decide to intervene divinely, that there's no one can have proof or evidence to share with everybody else, so that it now becomes evidence that God does exist, right? I mean that's
yeah.
sarcasm, but it's the truth. Like,
Yeah. I mean, there's the thing is, I think if you draw a circle around it and say, is it is there the exactly as it's formulated, is there the Christian God? And you say yes or no. I think that's okay to say no, and that's not what I'm talking about when I'm saying atheism. Um, what the Christian God could be based on, could be based on. I think that's a position
well,
that's just not
so
defendable.
here's what happens when Jesus freaks engage me, and I'll tell them, hey, your God, based on the Old Testament, um, appears to be really insecure. All right. Consistently, your God demands to be worshipped. Not sure why that's so important for the all knowing creator, but he really wants to be worshipped by you and by me and by everybody else. If you don't do it, then he gets really angry, right? You think about, can't think of a really good example in the Bible because I don't think Rashak, Meshach, and Abednego and the golden calf, I don't think that really triggered like God's rage. It just shows that they were loyal and somehow they got rescued from the inferno. But I usually say this to Jesus freaks. I'm like, your God is all knowing, right? And your God is perfect, right? But based on the Old Testament, like your God again is really insecure. In fact, so insecure that your God initially made the mistake of creating dinosaurs and then quickly realized that dinosaurs did not have the capacity or capability to worship God, right? And so God realized this and got angry and wiped out the dinosaurs and created humans. And then humans had the capacity to start asking where they come from. And by default, they started like, praying and worshiping. And I'm just saying that this proves that your God uh, doesn't have everything thought out, and God iterates just like humanity iterates until they get something that's workable. In this case, God got angry at the dinosaurs and killed them and replaced them with humans so he could be worshipped and feel better about himself. And that's when they kind of stopped talking to me. But
Yeah, and that's fine. I don't have any problems with that. The thing is, like again, when you draw a circle around it, you're drawing
yeah,
a circle around Christianity and or Judeo-Christian Islamic, religion. You're circling around it and using that as your prototype for what a god is and or could be. And
but
yeah, that's fine to say
they all
that
stem
that
from the same root. They're very
yeah.
similar.
Yeah, they are because I mean, Islam and Christianity and Judea, they're all kind of compatible with each other. The But I'm saying is that you have to start from a position as if those did not exist at all, and then start to have a conversation about could there be an actual just the fundamental question of could there be a god or is there a god, yes or no. That's why I'm saying like it if you take a step back and just think about it as a purely philosophical like line of questioning, I don't and where science really doesn't come into play because science is really based on physical plane and doesn't have any concept of the metaphysical. Um, like you could come to the conclusion that you don't really know, right? Now, the thing is that it could be that like Judeo-Christian religions, their concept of God is absolutely correct and everything is correct. You actually have no proof that there isn't. There's some logical fallacies, but that could just be misinterpretation. Um, you don't know that 5 seconds ago that a god didn't just snap his fingers and start our universe, and all of our memories are and what we thought we endured are not there. There's a lot of potential crap we just don't know. We can't know because we don't have control over our plane of existence, right?
What we do have control over is examining what people profess as God's word or God's instruction manual.
Yeah, but
Hence the Bible.
that's not the same thing that I'm getting at though. Like I said, I don't think I think if you're getting on that plane and you're saying that atheism isn't so much a position of like a philosophical position stating that I don't like there is no it's no assertion that there is no like creator, and you're saying that it's that the conception of the Judeo-Christian God isn't correct. Okay, I could get behind that. Like it like there's enough there where it just doesn't seem like somebody has to be wrong, right? Even if let's just say that Christians are wrong and
I
the Jews are
would
right.
I would just say if we're talking about scientifically, I would say that their model of a God needs improving.
Yeah, yeah, I'll give you that. But that doesn't necessarily assert that a God doesn't exist. People's misinterpretations of what a God could be all sorts of things. And that doesn't mean that a God is all caring, divine, like all knowing, anything like that. It could be that they're some poor dude sitting in his basement playing this world's greatest simulation, um, because some other being that evolved created such a complex, you know.
I mean, I think we would agree that God is a root. It's the trunk that there could be a whole bunch of people in their basement writing simulations, right? But they all branch off of the same trunk, right? Which is God, right? That's the way I would perceive God. Um, in theory, if we're talking about biblical, like Adam would be God in theory, right? If we all descended from him, and and scientifically we were generated from Adam, right? Which then brings up a question. All right, are you ready for this? Watch this. I'm proud of myself. Watch this. All right. Is it possible? Are you familiar with blood types?
Hmm. At least
Okay.
in
I-
concept, yeah.
Is it possible that you can have one blood type, your wife can have another blood type, and you produce a kid that has a third blood type? Is that possible?
I don't know what the biological rules are for that, so I think so. My parents have different blood types than me, so I'm pretty sure.
And those are your biological, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm AB positive, which is actually a very rare blood type. Um, and I think that my mom or dad might be B or A, and one of the other two. I don't really know, but
Yeah,
they're
because
not AB positive. I don't think.
okay. Well, then I guess you addressed it because I was going to ask if if there was only one blood type originally, right? Biblically, and that was Adam, his blood type, and Eve came from Adam's rib. A rib is connected to your tissue. It
Hmm.
should, in theory, maintain the same blood type. It doesn't. I would argue it's impossible for a rib to have a different blood type, right? Than the tissue that it came from. Then how is it possible that we have more than one blood type on this earth if we all descended from Adam, including
Mm.
Eve?
Yeah. Oh, sure. But
Uh,
I said I don't have any sort of like. I think if you put a confines, you can debate Christianity and the ideas that it holds, and or Judaism or Islam, and debate within the confines of that circle whether the projection that they're creating is accurate to what a god could be or not. There's
no,
other things like how did so if you formulate that the hell is a real thing and you have no choice to enter this world, and somebody's all knowing so they know your future, and they have a choice to create you and let you go to hell or not create you, are they benevolent? I don't think so.
yeah,
So then it's like, well, they can't have total knowledge, or they choose to be blind to certain things. But still, then if you're benevolent and you know that you're going to create an entity that could go into eternal suffering, within the confines of Christianity that actually believes in hell, because a lot of Christians don't believe in hell. Um, so you get into that. Yeah.
so Jehovah's Witnesses have a spin on that, right? I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, right?
Hmm.
Um, so their spin on it is, and this is me being sarcastic. Um, so Jehovah and Satan, they're playing this chess game, right? And Satan used to be or was an angel in the heavens, in which all the angels are supposed to, support or serve,
Hmm.
Jehovah, God, whatever. And Satan is like, nah, I don't like the way things are being done around here. I'm going to start my own little thing, right? And so he was able to convert other angels to joining his train, and we call them demons. Okay, and so I'm getting to the point. And
Hmm.
so the belief system within that organization is that Jehovah is all knowing, right? However, Jehovah feels that he has something to prove to a subject that he created that in theory is an angel, just like he created humans, right?
Hmm.
But Jehovah feels compelled to prove to something that he created that he's in charge and he's God. And so the logic or the belief is that Jehovah's going to Jehovah has let Satan um, attempt to demonstrate that mankind um, isn't loyal to him and doesn't care about him being Jehovah, and that's when Satan or deceived Adam and Eve, and now we have cancer and famines and wars and AIDS and all that stuff, right? And
COVID.
this supposed and COVID, right? And Mike Tyson and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? And this
Yeah.
is and this is supposed to just go
Kim
on for a limited
Kardashian.
time. It's supposed to go on for a limited time so that God can prove to one of his creations, Satan, that hey, I gave you an opportunity to prove to me that that all men are not interested in being faithful to me, and I've given you myriads of years, and so far you've had enough time to demonstrate. And although you've been successful with some or most human beings, you haven't been successful for the devout Christians. And so now I am going to go ahead and invoke um, the fifth article, Armageddon, and and there's going to be chaos, and human beings are going to suffer even more. We thought it was World War II with Hitler, but no, actually, we thought it was the First World War. No, that wasn't it. And then we thought it was the Second World War. That wasn't it either, right? But sooner or later, we're going to have an Armageddon, and then we're going to destroy all the unbelievers, all the infidels, right? Because they had the opportunity. That's why you see Jehovah Witnesses going door to door, preaching the good news of all the inhabited earth to a witness to all nations, and then the end will come in the latter chapters of the book of Matthew. And then we're going to throw Satan into an abyss for 1,000 years, right? And I may have that story mixed up. We're going to let Satan out of the abyss, right, for him to have yet another opportunity to turn folks against Jehovah. And then after that, after he turns some folks and we have another cleansing of people, then we're going to have the earth back to the original state of how God intended, hence the Garden of Eden, in which everybody's going to live forever and fill the earth and subdue it. That was the original commandment. That was the original intent that God had for Adam and Eve, and they decided to listen to a talking snake and eat a forbidden fruit. And that's the belief system at a high level of Jehovah Witnesses and why things are the way that they are.
Yeah,
Uh,
cool story. Yeah, no, yeah, it's again. I think, like I said, I think if you're confining it to Christianity and stuff like that, it's okay to say you're atheist. I just don't think that if you start from a position that it like let's assume for a second that those things don't exist and you don't start from that point. I don't think it's honest to say that you can assert. Like let's say you're not fighting against the idea of Christianity. You're just like you've never heard of it, never heard of any God. You're just sitting here contemplating your own existence and what could be possible or not. You'd have to, at least at a root level, say that, well, maybe there is a creator, maybe there isn't. I guess I'll never know, you know? And that's kind of and it's not that you'll never know. There's a possibility you could know, or there's a possibility that when you die, you just completely cease to exist and your life essence just ends. Maybe,
yeah,
or maybe not,
yeah.
because we don't know.
I think
I guess
my
we'll find we
frustration.
won't. We will or won't find out when we die.
I think my frustration is my disappointment in how people of color have been programmed or conditioned to accept a white Jesus as their Lord and Savior. And I purposely apply color to that because that's what I see in books, that's what I see on murals, that's what I see on people's flesh when they have tattoos and they don't think about how it came to be that they have this white man tattooed on them, right? And I just have an issue.
How do they? How do you tattoo? Okay, never mind. That's
You
probably
know,
dumb.
Jesus looks the same, right? Because apparently in the Bible they have a image of Jesus somewhere. I didn't see it. I didn't know they had like Polaroid, 3,500 years ago. But apparently Jesus looks the same, and he's depicted as the same. The white beard, the blue eyes, the hair. I think usually it's dark, and they get that tatted on them, and they
Hmm.
have crosses, and Jesus wearing his robe and walking on water, and it's just disappointing that people don't care about what led to them believing what they believe.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
And I think that's true of pretty much most people. Don't analyze their own belief system, and it's not just. I mean, it's everyone pretty much for the most part. I mean, there are a select few very tortured souls like you and me who think about it. But
yeah, and it's not helping us.
yeah,
We're trying to prove how
yeah,
smart we are, but it's not really generating any value.
yeah. Well, that's the thing is I think that having a position of, yeah, you might be right, but I'm not going to believe it. You know, it's just fine. And then people like, as long as you're not like trying to shut them down, they're like, yeah, I'm okay for the most part, unless they're really like, I can't be friends with you if you're
Well,
not this
the
way.
and the latter part I think is spot on. The reason why people hold on to their beliefs, I think, isn't about facts. It's about relationships, right?
Yeah.
The majority of people, they want to continue maintaining a relationship with their family. They wanted to continue maintaining a relationship with their village, and if they go contrary to something that the elders have hold very high, then it's going to result in them being like ostracized, right? And who wants to deal with that? Especially if you think about pre pre-industrial revolution, right? It must be really, really hard if you get ostracized from the village and you have to figure out things on your own, right? Versus being able to specialize within a village or a city, and you do your part and everybody else, they do their part, whatever they specialize in, and you don't have to be a jack of all trades and have a shorter lifespan because of the stress and you being unable to keep up. I think logically that would make sense. So
Hmm. You want to join the Church of Pastafarian or Pastafaria with me? You can do
what's
that.
Pastafari?
It's the belief in the giant spaghetti monster.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, that's new to me.
you ever? Well, it's sorry, the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
That's new to me.
It's a official fake religion. So
I
I shot you in
rather
private chat the Wikipedia article about it. They're
I ra-
Pastafarians.
I rather donate to Birds Aren't Real.
Oh gosh.
I see it. It looks like
Yeah,
a
it's the same
crab
kind of
with.
thing.
It looks like a crab mated with this octopus or a squid.
Yes, flying spaghetti monster.
Pastafarianism, a social movement that promotes a light-hearted view of religion. Oh, okay, so it's kind of like a parody or something.
Yeah, it's a parody.
It originated in opposition to the teaching of intelligent design in public schools. According to adherents, Pastafarianism is a real legitimate religion as much as any other. It has received some limited recognition as such. The the Flying Spaghetti Monster was first described in a satirical open letter written by Bobby Henderson in 2005 to protest the Kansas State Board of Education decision to permit teaching intelligent design as an alternative to evolution in public school science classes. In the letter, Henderson demanded equal time in science classrooms for flying spaghetti monsterism alongside intelligent design and evolution. After Henderson published the letter on his website, the flying spaghetti monster rapidly became an internet phenomenon and a symbol of opposition to the teaching of intelligent design in public school. You know what? This is my first time hearing about it, but I completely agree.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun thing to say. Yeah, Krishna, I'm Pastafarian. And he's just like, what? Yeah, I go to the Church
I
of the
think I'm about to
Spaghetti.
start saying that.
I go to the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Doesn't everyone, believe that the Almighty Flying Spaghetti Monster is our one and true Creator? So
Because of its popularity and exposure, the flying spaghetti monster is often used as a contemporary version of Russell's teapot, an argument that the philosophic or philosoph am I saying it right? Philosophoic,
philosophic
the
or
philosophic. Thank you. I don't know why that couldn't bubble up. An argument that the philosophic burden of proof lies upon those who make unfalsifiable claims, not on those who reject them. Pastafarians have engaged in disputes with creationists, including in Polk County, Florida, where they played a role in dissuading the local school board from adopting new rules on teaching evolution. Pastafarianism has received praise from the scientific community and criticism from proponents of intelligent design. I'm
yeah,
with it. I'm a Pastafarian too. Thank you.
yeah, it should be agnostic thing because atheism is a unfalsifiable position. You can't
Like,
prove it.
you can't prove that there's not a spaghetti monster that's
Yeah,
responsible
there
for our
actually
creation.
could be. Absolutely. 100%. You can't prove there is, you can't prove there's not. So, but that's the
Oh,
thing is you can't prove there's not either. So, it's unfalsifiable, which is the entire. I guess that's the way you could get to it about everything. It's the existence or not existence is unfalsifiable. All you can do is argue about the minutia and the like little questions and what might or might not be. It really comes down to just it's a fun philosophical experiment to just think about like what could be the meaning and why we're here and how we might have happened and what explains certain things. And
I'm I'm looking at the. This is bad. This is how people get killed. Hold up. I'm looking at sharing my screen, right?
okay.
So I'm looking at where is it at? You see this? The the Mother Mary, I assume, holding the pasta monster.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like
that's what that's gonna get somebody killed.
I like the people who wear the colanders, our traditional Pastafarian head garb.
Where do you see that? Oh my
Oh, just
God!
back on Wikipedia.
See the Christmas tree?
Yeah, yeah, back on the Wikipedia page. There's a Pastafarian protesters wear colander showing the icon of the flying spaghetti and show the icon of the flying spaghetti monster.
Where is that?
Oh, just on the side down towards the bottom. Keep scrolling. There it is. Those guy, that gal, and that guy. They got the icon of the. Oh, back up a little bit, right above that section. Should be right there. Oh, there it is. That one and then the one above it. He's got the icon of the flying spaghetti monster, and then this traditional head garb of Pastafarianism.
Oh,
It says the colander because, of course,
that's crazy.
that's funny.
It's been real. Thanks for sharing that. I think that was the biggest highlight of my day for May 27th, 2022.
Yeah,
So,
I've given you a new religion that you can really believe in, man. So
why does it sound so much like Rastafari though? Like that's the part that I
it's
wish they picked a better name.
well, it's a play on it because pasta and Rasta, but
Uh,
Rastafarian is the same thing. I mean, it's the same. It's all religion. I mean,
yeah,
but you could ask the question about Buddhism though. Like, is Buddhism the same kind of in the terms of religious? Because they don't. Theirs is more of a philosophical like basis, and there are some like things that aren't are perhaps like mystical or whatever about it, but um, the idea of continuous cycle and rebirth and the idea of getting to nirvana by escaping that cycle of rebirth, that's a whole different play on how this all, and that's a god. I mean, like there's no god talked about, it's just a way of thinking about life. So anyways, all right,
are you
I suppose.
are you working today?
Yeah, yeah, I gotta work.
Yeah, because I think it's a holiday weekend. Very quick thing. I have a interview scheduled for next week for a solutions architect position. Wish me luck. Honestly, I know what I should know. I think if I were in take two, I know what I should know. I think if I were interviewing someone for a solutions architect position, and my interview questions would be based on like theory and whiteboard, but I think industry they care about third party vendor implementation details, and I'm not sure if I really want to invest in memorizing that stuff.
Yeah,
So what I do plan on memorizing this weekend is the eight fallacies of distributed computing and CAP theorem, um, and the computing cost of Azure Service Bus. I think I have that down pretty well. So
cool. Well, good luck. Is that for a full time position then, not a
yeah,
contracting?
it's
Okay,
full time.
but
So
the place you're currently at or a new place?
yeah,
Okay,
I'm trying to be flexible in regards to compensation. So I'm like, all right, well, what if I interview for a position that's above me, so that there's not an issue with my hourly rate. So
there you go. Oh,
all right,
cool.
we'll catch up.
Well, good
See ya.
luck. Good luck. Yeah, hope it lands for you. So see ya.
Yep. Bye.